Carlos Alcaraz faces an unexpected problem in his Miami Open 2025 debut. Although the Spaniard arrives as one of the big favorites for the title, the schedule and playing conditions could seriously complicate things from the very first match. His debut will be this Friday in the night session, and everything indicates that the conditions will not be in his favor. What makes this debut more dangerous than usual? How can the weather, the court, and his opponent affect the match? Stay until the end because we're going to analyze all the key points that turn this first encounter into a dangerous trap for Carlitos. Carlos Alcaraz arrives in Miami eager to bounce back after his painful semifinal loss at Indian Wells to Jack Draper. However, the draw and the schedule have thrown an unexpected handicap his way for his debut in this second Masters 1000 of the year. The Spaniard will make his debut in the Friday night session, and that changes everything. And why can playing at night be a problem? Mainly because of the weather conditions. In Miami, once the sun sets, temperatures drop significantly and humidity rises, which causes the ball to bounce much less and travel more slowly through the air. For a player like Alcaraz, who likes to generate spin, vary heights, and find rhythm in exchanges, this kind of environment reduces his margin and favors flatter and more aggressive players. On top of that, there's the change in surface. After Indian Wells, where the courts were slow and the high bounce favored a constructed game, Alcaraz now has to adapt to a completely different pace. Miami courts are fast, ideal for short points, powerful serves, and flat shots. And if you add the nighttime humidity to that, the challenge becomes even greater. The problem? There's no time to adapt. This kind of transition usually takes days, but the calendar doesn't forgive. Carlos has to adjust from the very start, and he's been dealt a very uncomfortable debut against a dangerous opponent like David Goffin, who comes in with rhythm after beating Vukic in 3 sets and who, moreover, already knows what it's like to beat Carlitos. Goffin is no ordinary rival. The Belgian was a top 10 player, has played Grand Slam semifinals, and although injuries have held him back in recent years, he is showing that he still has the talent and experience to trouble anyone. His style, very solid from the baseline with low, flat shots, can be especially damaging on a nighttime court in Miami, where the low bounce punishes those who try to add spin to the ball. There's also history. The last time they faced each other was in 2022, on a fast indoor court, similar conditions to those they'll face this Friday night, and Goffin took the win. Since then, it's true that Alcaraz has made a giant leap forward, but it's also true that uncomfortable matches can pop up when least expected, and this could be one of them. Because beyond the ranking or form, conditions are everything in tennis. Playing at night in Miami is radically different from doing so in Indian Wells during the day. Here, the ball doesn't bounce as high, points are quicker, and the sense of control diminishes, something that can especially affect a player like Alcaraz, who likes to dominate from the back with variety and rhythm. On top of that, the calendar hasn't allowed the Spaniard much time to acclimate to the new environment. Moving from the slow conditions of the Californian desert to the suffocating humidity and fast court in Florida is a physical and mental challenge that could define how his debut unfolds. Add to that the pressure of having to perform well after his Indian Wells loss, and the cocktail is served. Will Carlitos overcome this first obstacle with composure? Or will we see an early upset in Miami? The reality is this match is far more dangerous than it appears at first glance, and only a very focused Alcaraz will be able to keep the tournament from getting complicated from day one. Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic seem destined to meet at every major tournament, and the Miami Open 2025 will be no exception. Although they wouldn't face each other until a potential semifinal, the mere fact that they're once again on the same side of the draw has sparked all kinds of buzz. And the recent history between them hasn't exactly been favorable for the Spaniard, who's had to endure very tough losses at the hands of the Serbian number 1, some of them with controversy included. The most painful came at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, where Djokovic snatched away Alcaraz's chance to win gold, one of the Spaniard's biggest dreams. Later, the Serbian once again spoiled the party by eliminating him from the 2025 Australian Open, coming back in an epic match despite being injured, something that still stings for Juan Carlos Ferrero's pupil. That comeback left a mark on Carlitos, both technically and emotionally, as he admitted he didn't know how to handle the situation on court. In Indian Wells, it looked like we'd get another chapter of this rivalry since they landed on the same side of the draw. However, Djokovic's early elimination prevented the showdown. Even so, Alcaraz also failed to take the title, losing in the semifinals to Jack Draper. Now, in Miami, fate offers them a new chance to clash, but first, they must get through several hurdles. Alcaraz debuts against David Goffin, while Djokovic will face Rinky Hijikata, though the real buzz is reserved for the semifinals if both advance. the tension between them isn't just on court, it's also off it. In recent hours, the media spotlight has been on the PTPA, Professional Tennis Players Association, led by Djokovic, which has filed a lawsuit against the sport's governing bodies. In this battle, Alcaraz's name was mentioned without his consent, sparking public outrage. The Spaniard made it clear that he is not informed about nor part of the movement and expressed his disagreement at having been indirectly involved. Alcaraz made it very clear that he does not support the lawsuit filed by the PTPA. During his media appearance in Miami, the Spaniard said he found out about everything through social media and was surprised to see the organization had used one of his past statements as part of their legal argument. Yesterday I saw how they had included something I said in Beijing 2024 in their letter. That bothered me, because I wasn't informed. I don't support this lawsuit, he said seriously. His words reflect a clear sense of discomfort, not so much with the substance of the matter, but with the way he was included without authorization. The statement in question dates back to the Beijing tournament, when he said in a press conference that they're going to kill the players somehow, referring to the demanding tour calendar. Those words stirred things up at the time, but he considered them a personal opinion, not institutional support for any legal action. The fact that they've now been used in the PTPA's lawsuit, without his consent or knowledge, was the final straw that led him to publicly distance himself from the group led by Djokovic. This disagreement adds another layer of drama to a possible semi-final between the two in Miami. It wouldn't just be a clash for a spot in the final, it would also be a battle between two figures who currently stand on opposite sides of the professional tennis political landscape. On one side, Djokovic, an activist leader for player rights, on the other, Alcaraz, a symbol of the new generation who prefers to stay out of conflicts and focus on the game. For now, the Spaniard remains firm in his approach. He wants to do well in Miami, regain confidence after Indian Wells, and, if destiny allows, get his sporting revenge against Djokovic on the court. But with this off-court drama already boiling, the intrigue is guaranteed. The sparks are already flying, and if both meet expectations in their respective matches, the semi-final duel could become one of the season's most explosive. Because when tennis mixes with politics, the rackets light up. Carlos Alcaraz breaks the silence and sends a clear message about the controversial demands led by Novak Djokovic. The world number 3 publicly distances himself from the PTPA, the players' union founded by the Serbian, in a moment of maximum tension between players and tennis's main governing bodies. The bombshell dropped during the Miami Open 2025 Media Day, when Carlos Alcaraz was asked about the PTPA's lawsuits, the association created by Novak Djokovic and Vasek Pospisil. His response was clear, firm, and even with a hint of discomfort. Honestly, it was a surprise to me because no one told me anything. Thus began what would become an open criticism of an organization that claims to have the support of the best players in the world. Alcaraz explained that he found out everything through social media, which already reveals a complete disconnect from the initiative. But the strongest part came next. There are some things I agree with, others I don't. But the main thing is that I'm not supporting it. And just like that, the Spaniard made it clear that he does not back the stance or the demands of the PTPA, distancing himself from Djokovic. And what exactly are we talking about? The PTPA has launched a legal offensive against the main governing bodies of tennis, accusing them of acting like a cartel that limits player income, restricts competition, and organizes a calendar that, according to them, puts players' physical and mental health at risk. They also claim that entities like the ATP and WTA exploit players for disproportionate profit. A direct and blunt message. But what has surprised people most is that the PTPA claims to have the backing of most top players on the circuit. Something that, after Alcaraz's statements, is now in doubt. And although the Spaniard admits there are valid issues being raised, he doesn't agree with the approach or the way Djokovic and his group are handling the situation. And you? Do you agree with Alcaraz's stance, or do you think Djokovic is fighting for a just cause? Let us know your opinion in the comments, and if you're enjoying the video, subscribe and hit the like button, because this is just getting started. And you? Do you think Alcaraz will manage to adapt in time and get past this tough debut? Or will Goffin pull off the upset by taking advantage of the nighttime conditions? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to drop a like if you enjoy the best tennis analysis out there. See you in the next video with more news.